Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the UKSAs.com Better Racing League. We are here for the final round of the season. I would say it's gone by really quickly, but I've only been here for the last 2 rounds. So it's gone quickly enough for me, and I'm sure the drivers will feel the same. We are eagerly anticipating the final race of the season at Monza today. So if you don't know who I am yet, I am Lewis Edwards. I'm going to be your commentator for the day. Here are my socials if you want to find out more about me, I guess. I tweet occasionally, post on Instagram every once in a while, and occasionally I do a stream or two, but mainly streaming on this channel. I'm going to swap over to the calendar now. As you can see, we're in round 10. The drivers' poll decided it was going to be 100% at Monza. So I believe that's 53 laps of Monza we've got today. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be all dry. Yes, the weather is going to be clear. And we're going to have 18 minutes of qualifying, commonly known as short qualifying. And we've got Henry Hellbender in the chat. Oi, Lewis, make me look good today. I'll see what I can do. I'll give you some nice coverage now that I know that you're interested in the stream. And it looks like we've got quite a few people in the lobby. I think we've probably got everybody in, and we are going to get ourselves a quick look at the drivers. This is most of the driver lineup. We may have a couple of extras. I will let you guys know. So in the lobby at the moment, we've got, in the Mercedes, we've got Warren and Julius Race as per usual. In the Ferrari, we haven't got either of the Ferrari drivers in just yet, but I'm sure Simo Pez and Eisenberg will be in shortly. We've got Dirt Shark in the Red Bull. Haven't seen Zabi Jaka just yet. Cool graphics, thank you. Barks made some of them, and I've just put them onto the stream, so credit to him for all of the work he does on the photoshopping side for the media for the league. In the McLaren team, we've got Bullet Eater 80 and Heppy, who I have not seen in Zandvoort, so that'll be a new driver to become the victim of my commentating. And in the Renaults, we've got Barks and Fred Nolasco. Bit of a crowd favourite is Fred, if the last race is anything to go by. We had lots of messages of support for him in the chat, so hopefully he goes well today. In the Alpha Tower, we've got Morty Peretz and Graham, as per usual. We've got RLK1774, and we've got Emilio _yeah in the Aston Martin. In the Alfa Romeo, we've got Brooke, and we've got Tibran. I hope that's how I say your name, as you can see. And in the Haas, we've got Clay Racing and Neil. And in the Williams, we've got Snaggletooth and Emilio EMS. And we have now got Simo Pez has joined in the Ferrari. So it looks like we're nearly there for a full lobby of drivers ready to go. Last time out, this is how it ended after the 200% endurance race. Fred did take the win from Dirt Shark, Simo. Warren was 4th, Neil was 5th, Julius Race was in 6th, Graham was 7th, Barks in 8th, Clay in 9th, Zabi Jaka in 10th, and Emilio EMS in 11th. So there has been quite a bit of discussion, I've noticed in the Discord chat for the league, about racing room. As we saw at the end, it got a bit elbows out, shall we say, between Warren and Brooke, and then again between Warren and Neil right at the end of the race. And there's been quite a bit of discussion and a lot of very helpful diagrams to basically illustrate the point of you really want to be leaving half the track for the other person you're racing. and don't dive bomb is basically a simplified version of what's been discussed, and the Barks has made some graphics to illustrate exactly what we're defining as a dive bomb and how we're defining specific incidents. And then he did some nice examples for the specific corners that we've got here at Monza, especially the chicanes, which are actually very similar. You've got the first chicane, then you've got Curva Grande, and you've got the second chicane. So those two are very similar. So he did some illustrations of exactly how to fairly leave room for your opponent whilst not losing a heap of time trying to stay out of the way and also make the overtake. And then he also did one for Ascari, as that's a bit of a trickier chicane to manage side by side. It's really a one car width corner. People have readied up, so I believe we've got people in. No Eisenberg at the moment and no Zabi Jaka today, I believe. So there's only going to be one Ferrari on home soil, but it will be an Italian piloting it. Newly crowned champion Simo. It's going to be an interesting dynamic to see whether he decides to go for the idea of let's absolutely go for it because we've got the championship done, or it's like we've got the championship, we can just chill now. I know Simo is a very quick driver, so I'm expecting it to be the option of let's go for it and get our elbows out and have some fair fun with the other drivers, as it's always a good confidence and pride boost when you go and win the last race to begin the next season on a high, which he will be doing anyway as the champion. We've also got the World Cup, which I haven't actually done a whole lot of looking into, but it looks like it's a one-day event where we're going to have some interesting races to bring to you guys, and hopefully I will be commentating on that race and streaming it on the channel. We will also be looking to expand into YouTube streaming at the same time as this. That is the hope for the next race. We've got Restream.io, which is going to be used for that, but turns out if you make a YouTube channel, you do have to wait 24 hours to be able to live stream after activating it. And seeing as we did that after 7 o'clock yesterday to try and get it all sorted, and not knowing that we can't be streaming on YouTube today. But that is not to worry. It's going to be a new season with a new set of updated graphics, hopefully. We're looking at Adobe After Effects to try and get some animated graphics as and where we can, which would be really good for you guys, and it would look really cool on the stream. Now we are into qualifying. Eisenberg has now joined the session, so I'm just going to quickly switch over to the racing scene and let me know how the audio is, everybody. Hopefully we will have none of the audio issues that we had when switching to the driver focus aspect. I believe we fixed the problem. I'm not actually sure why the sound cut out, but I think I have fixed it now. So we will test that out fairly shortly. These guys on their laps now. We're looking at, it's definitely going to be an 18 something, I reckon, for pole position today. I think these drivers absolutely have the pace to pull an 18 out in qualifying if they hook up a lap nicely, based on what we saw at Zandvoort in the race. Obviously that was reverse grid, so we never got to see the true qualifying pace of these drivers, but you can judge it fairly well based on the sort of speed they were racing at. We're going to have a watch of Fred, our winner from last time out. My two Peretz 46 left the session. Oh no, please tell me we're not having a disconnect. Oh, it looks like we're having a bit of a disconnect issue there. Seems like 3 people have been affected, so it's not the whole grid. And we have got 15 minutes left of the session, so there's plenty of time for them to get back in. I believe Fred is purple through the first sector. This has been a solid lap so far. I'd say there's definitely a fair amount of time left in it, but it's a banker lap, is really what this is. There's a yellow flag in sector 2. That looks like one of the Alfa Romeos. And I believe an Aston Martin has slowed down. Ah, you said you wanted me to make you look good. You've gone to the top of the timesheets, Henry. That's what we like to see while it lasted. I think we're having a few connection issues with certain people at the moment. Simo's on a 19.2. That's the sort of banker we were expecting. And I think you can definitely find that time with the track evolution that you usually see in these kind of qualifying sessions. Oh, I spotted somebody in the gravel there, I think. Let's have a look. He's in mode 2, so I believe this is going to be the start of a flying lap. Down into turn 1, nice on the brakes. Not taking too much of the curb. A little bit squirrely on the traction there, but didn't lose too much time. Now Curva Grande, use the line of least resistance. Don't want to take any unnecessary scrubbing of the tyres. And it's a 26.3 in the first sector. I believe it's purple. More connection issues. Overall, this has looked like a very nice and smooth lap from Tibran. Not really taking over the limits anywhere. Just a solid performance so far. And there we go, Simo's into the 18s already. Oh, that's an invalidation ever so slightly on Ascari there. So that lap is not going to be any faster. And we'll watch Graham as he's racing around on a lap, I believe. He's in mode 2, so I think he's going for it. We will see into Ascari. Is that purple middle sector? Now I wonder what everybody's doing in terms of setup direction today, because you really have to tune your car specifically at Monza based on what kind of a race you're expecting. Obviously you're going to want to strip a lot of downforce off the car, but then you have to tune your mechanical grip and a bit your downforce levels slightly based on what you're expecting to be in terms of whether you're going to be following cars or not. If you're out front, you might want to tune in just a bit of stability if you know you've got a bit more pace in hand over the pointy setups that you probably run in. If you're in like the top in F1 esports, they'll run very pointy setups because it's faster and they have an incredible talent to keep the car on the road. It's effectively like real life in F1. You tend to see people like Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton run quite pointy cars and just deal with them and try and somehow keep it on the track, and they both seem to do it very well. That's why they're racing for Mercedes and Ferrari respectively. This has been a solid lap from Neil. So nicely away from the track limits. Coming into the last corner now. There's a McLaren stopped at the exit of see one, they might have gone across the chicane or had a bit of a spin on the exit. It is a tricky traction zone to nail. So the story here is Simo Pez, absolutely the class of the field at the moment. He's half a second up on second place. And now is Brooke going to get held up? He's definitely being held up by Warren here. It'll be interesting to see if Warren is on a lap. I think they're both on an out lap, if I'm not mistaken. Well, Brooks had enough anyway. They both decided to go for the pits, so neither of them were really too interested in setting a lap. Oh, Happy's tried to dive out of the way there as best as he could. And this lap's not going to count. And Barks is up into 5th. So everybody going for the soft tyres, there must be a fairly big time delta between the two sets of tyres. And the tyre wear at Monza is not typically very high compared to other tracks, as effectively you've got mostly straights, 2 slow speed chicanes, and then you've got the 2 Lesmos, which are medium speed corners, and then you've got a Scari, which is more of a high speed chicane, and the only place where you really begin to wear the front tyres out. The rear tyres, it all depends on how kind you are on the traction, but those are a lot easier to manage with short shifting than if you're over scrubbing the tyres trying to pull lap time. Then it's a lot harder to keep that in check and go quickly. So rear limited tracks like this tend to be easier on tyre wear to manage the tyre wear, and because there's not actually that many corners, you don't get there's not a lot of places on the track to get tyre wear from, because you won't get significant wear at all on a straight, apart from in the traction zone. We'll see if Simo's on a lap. I believe he might be on an out lap here. The minimap is red, which means it's not valid. So I would hazard a guess he's on an out lap, given he's weaving and he's got pretty much full ERS deployment to use. I think he's starting a lap now. I think it would be Julius has had enough, or he's had a bit of an accident, I think, at the exit of the Scari. That's a good line into there. Doesn't opt for a short shift. I think he really wanted to push it. 18.5 is a properly solid lap. He's gained a 10th there. That was nice, but he didn't quite hook up the second part of that chicane. He didn't commit to it as much as he could have done. I'm really nitpicking his lap here, as he is half a second up and improving still. It's a very solid lap here from Simo, and he's now 1.5 tenths up. Has the commitment to a Scari, pretty good. I think he held that flat quite nicely through there. Didn't have any kind of dramas. Seemed a little bit scared of the curbs, but every car is when they're running such low ride height, which you need to at Monza to get some straight line speed. I just wonder if Simo's the only one running some kind of a setup here. That's an 18.4. That is very solid. I think he might be the only one running a really solid setup. Guarantee you'd probably want to run something like 2.5 wings, so you don't seem to end up with a lot of downforce. and then you want to run quite aggressive on the roll bars to get the rotation, which only Simo seems to be getting the most rotation from the car rather than from the driving style. This car just seemed to naturally go towards where he pointed it without losing anywhere on the straights. I think this will be the real tell here as to how much time. So Fred is still going quickly. That was nicely there. That's the line that Simo could have taken. As there's about a tenth and a half in his lap. I think based on just a couple of apexes, could have been a slight bit sweeter, but I don't think that's going to bother him when he's 9.5 tenths up on second place. And Fred's going to need a bit more than that if he wants to challenge. I think the thing that's helping Simo at the moment, or rather the real difference is corner speed, is how much he's able to carry. It always seems like he's just carrying more speed, like minimum speed through the corners compared to the others. And that's a better lap from Fred, that's 0.3 improvement. So that's a solid lap from him. Is this Barks on a lap? It looks like it might be. He's in mode 2, so he's deploying. We're about to find out. He's even with his best. I'm starting to wonder whether purple on the minimap just means better than you've managed rather than better than anybody's managed. Because I seem to be seeing a lot of purple every time I go to somebody who's making slight improvements on themselves. And that's a good final sector. That's 0.3 up for Barks. Is Clay racing, but this lap's not going to be valid. Ooh, this is solid improvement from Eisenberg. He was very tentative on the steering there. He turned in a bit too early, but realised that he was turning in too early and had to steer out of it a little bit there, which might have cost him a bit of time, but he's going to get a slipstream behind Fred here. He might get the dirty air there, but now he's going to reap the benefits. And no, he's not, because he's decided to go for the pits. So the big battle today is going to be the Constructors' Championship, definitely. Between... We're going to have a look at the Constructors' Championship now, because it's very close between Mercedes and Ferrari. In fact, there are 4 points in it at the moment. And it's not looking so great for Mercedes, with Simo on pole by nearly 7 tenths. Julius Race has retired from the session and is currently 10th. And Warren hasn't set a lap. It's not looking good for Mercedes so far. And I think as soon as we saw what pace Simo was doing, well, we kind of knew Mercedes would be on the back foot. And you put a lap like that together, straight out the bat in qualifying, then it becomes a bit of a uphill battle when you're trying to face somebody who's 7 tenths up the road already. We're going to watch Neil now, he's on a lap. Haas need to outscore Alfa Romeo and Alfa Tauri and Aston Martin. Not by much, but just a little bit to keep their 6th place in the championship. I think Red Bull versus Alpine-Renault for 3rd and 4th, that's going to be an interesting one to look out for. But again, there's no second Red Bull driver and Fred is in P2. So unless these guys start to have some issues, I think that's fairly settled already. as the gap between them is only 2 points. Dirt Shark would need to most certainly outscore Fred, and then have Barks not score to keep the place. Oh, that's an accident for Multi-Peretz. I think he just got a bit of a swapper on through Ascari, and that's in the wall. Not going to be helping Alpha Tauri in their battle with Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin. Alfa Romeo are currently 7th on 29 points. Alpha Tauri 1 point further back, and Aston Martin a further 3 points back. But with RLK in third, as Simo, he hooks up a slightly better lap now. Just extends the gap out to 7/10. I'm pretty sure that's not going to be beaten anytime soon. But RLK for Aston Martin, that's a good lap from him. That's going to certainly help them try and overcome Alfa Romeo and Alpha Tauri. As the Alfa Romeos are 6th and 17th. And Warren's actually got up to 7th. So that's good news for Mercedes, that at least he's going to be there to consolidate there. Might be there, ready to challenge if anything happens, but they're realistically going to need Simo to have a bit of an accident or some major problems. Otherwise, I think he's going to run away with this one, to be honest. So everybody did get in. Zabijaka did get into the session, and Niels just said, "No, I'm alright, thanks." The only one left is Brooke now, but he's not on a lap. So that will be the end. As soon as Brooke comes into the pits, that'll be the end of the session. And we are going to get ready for the race. That's one way to get out of the way, Brooke. Not seen that one before. So he will just trundle into the pit lane now, I think. And then we will jump into the race. Everybody is going to be starting on the soft tyres in the top 10. Actually, Eisenberg put it in third. I completely missed that. So that's really a big blow to Mercedes now. They're going to be starting from 8th and 13th, with Ferrari 1st and 3rd. Oh, that's going to be a tough one. Warren's going to need to use all of his racecraft and all of his pace. And so is Julius Race to try and get them up the order. They're going to have to put pressure on Simo and Eisenberg somehow. Right, there we see it. That's the order. It's Simo Perez who has dominated the session with an 18.4 for pole position. Only man in the 18s. So I was right. It was going to be an 18 for pole, and it most certainly was a quick 18 as well. As we go down the order, we've got RLK, Heppy, Dirt Shark, Brooke, Warren, Barks, Emilio, Clay Racing, Neil, Julius Race, Graham, Multi-Peretz, Emilio EMS, Tibren, Snaggletooth, Bullet Eater, and Zabijaka. I don't think we've got any incidents apart from the invalidations. Yeah, just the invalidations. And we are going to go over to the race now. We've got a Forza Ferrari in the chat. Ferrari's on pole position and on third place. And we have a Twitch bot. Happy days. So they think we're not famous already. We are famous enough. We have Brendan Lee, who likes to jump in and around the chat. Go Happy, my old teammate. And we've got Go Fred Nolasco. The Fred supporters have come out to say hi. We've got a former teammate of Happy. I believe he's starting from P4, so that's looking good for him. Tell Box, my game crashed. I can try. No promises. He hasn't even responded to my Discord because he's been very busy. Oh, he has. Just notification didn't cross. F. I've dropped him a message. Hopefully it's going to get through in time to him. No worries. We're going to get the spectator menu up. I'm assuming quite a few people might have tried going for the medium tyres. That's a surprise, actually. That is a big surprise. I would have expected quite a lot of those outside the top 10 to just pick the mediums and go long and see where they can get with it. But alas, they have chosen, they want to go for the soft tyres. They think the benefit is going to be track position off the start. Because if you're going backwards on the medium tyres, you might lose the DRS train. And the DRS train is overpowered here. So we're going to see what these guys can do. Predictions for the race, I think Simo's going to run away with it. Unless he has some kind of an incident with a back marker or drops it trying to set fastest lap. I think the best chance that somebody like Fred has got is to just go up the inside into turn 1. If Simo survives the first lap in first, there's a real danger he's just going to run away. So we will see. Zabi Jaka has quickly reconnected. And we will get underway very shortly. As we wait for those final people to line up on the grid. Yes, Dark, I am the commentator for the league. We're going to get some lights. We've got the Fred supporters in chat. Can he do anything into turn 1? We're going to find out now as it's lights out and away we go. It looks like a good start from Simo. But Fred's still alongside. Is he going to be able to do anything in the braking zone? Not quite. Simo hits the apex. Oh, I think Brooks missed his braking point there. And there's been incidents all over the grid there. I think that's caused a bit of chaos. I think Brooke might have locked a tyre. And that's... Oh, he's locked another tyre. He's in the gravel. Fred's going to be at the inside here. Oh, there's a front wing. There's a Red Bull round. And that's gone into a Haas. And there's lots of people going around there. There's been a pile-up. A bit further back. That's ruined Dirt Shark's race. That's going to be very hard. Eisenberg from 3rd is in 13th. There's an Aston Martin round on the exit of Lesmo 2. That is RLK. Crikey, this race has got off to a crazy start. As we see the Red Bulls knowing, oh, Eisenberg's had a major moment on the exit of Ascari there. They're going to go 3 wide trying to get around him as it's going to be slow off the corner. But all of that chaos affected absolutely everybody except for Simo Pez, who leads by over 2 seconds at the end of lap 1. It's been exactly what he needed. And I think quite a few people are bailing for the pits now. So we're gonna see. There we go. We're gonna see what's happened to people and how their race has changed, shall we say, since lap 1 when the graphics have filtered themselves through properly. It does do a bit of a glitch on lap 1, but nothing to worry about. When everybody goes through the timing loop, I think it's going to do it. Is that Barks has had an issue there? It is. I think he's dropped it on the exit of Lesmo too. It looks like he's still got a front wing intact though, so he might not have to pit. Yeah, he's got the end fences. Oh, the Alfa Tauri stuck his nose in there. There was not room for that. Oh, Clay's got a penalty for corner cutting. And Simo's just running away at the front now. I'm starting to wonder if Fred has damage, because he was not seconds a lap slower. It doesn't look like it. But Simo is certainly running away with this at the moment. Heppy is up to third. I think all that chaos was started when Brooks seemed to go from about fifth up into second and seemed to lock a break, I think. As he now fends past Heppy now. So he seems to be on a bit of a charge now. And we go on board with Warren now. He's the centre of the attention post-race at Zandvoort for his aggressive defending and attacking. So hopefully we'll see some more clean and quick attacking from him, as Brooks seemed to have a bit of a slow run through Ascari there. Is that going to put him under pressure now? DRS is enabled, so I wonder if Heppy's going to not make the move and just take the DRS to try and make the move down the main straight here. If Warren gets a nice exit, which he does, we're going to get a good view of this, I think. Brooks immediately gone defensive there. It's side by side. Heppy's just a bit ahead, and I think he's going to be there. And he goes right round the outside. It's a good move from him. But now Brooks seems to be back on the traction now. So they're going to go side by side through Curva Grande, leaving each other plenty of room there. But does Brooke have the overspeed to get up the inside into the second chicane? He does, and he's up the inside again. Back up into third place. So I think the big story there is Red Bull's points tally has been annihilated. Their chances of getting any kind of major points now. They're only 2 points ahead of Alpine-Renault, who are in second and seventh. With Red Bull not scoring, that is going to be huge for their championship bid. Now we're going to see round 2 up the pit straight now. I believe we are. The gap's only 0.2 coming off the exit. I think Heppy just needs to clear Brooke a little bit more on the exit. And he's gone right round the outside, but he's missed the chicane. Is that going to hand an opportunity to Warren? It is. He's going straight past. I don't think he's going to lose any more time than that, but he missed the braking point trying to defend from Brooke there, and that's going to give Brooke a bit of breathing space now to chase after Fred. But he has lost. He's got 2.5 seconds to make up. Can he make it work? We will find out in the next few laps. We're going to go back to RLK and Eisenberg as they attempt to make their way back up the grid now. Ooh, that's going to be a track limit warning for sure. For RLK there, I think. You're allowed 3. Sorry, you're allowed 2, and then the third one, I believe, you get a penalty of 3 seconds. So we're actually going to have a look at what tyres people have fitted as Eisenberg makes the move there. Simo's just set another fastest lap. He's on for a solid, what would be 26 points, but I believe we are doing the point system where first gets 10 points, second gets 9 points, third gets 8 points, etc. down to 10th place who gets 1 point. And point for fastest lap, so he'll be on for the full 11 point maximum, I believe. Which will firmly put Ferrari to the top. Although Warren and Julius Race are beginning to get up there now. We've got a yellow flag. Is that for Barks? I think it may be. We will find out. RLK not made massive inroads here. So we are going to have a look at the current tyre situation that everybody's on. So Dirt Shark's gone for the hard tyres. He's going for the ambitious strategy. He's going to try and take that all the way to the end of the race, I think. Or maybe for a set of soft tyres right at the end. So only Clay Racing with the penalty at the moment. I think that was actually for taking a corner cut to avoid an accident. And if that's the case, he may be able to get that penalty removed if he's just purely gone off the track to avoid having an accident with somebody parked on the apex of the corner. Now we've got Heppy up behind Warren, not up behind him anymore. Into the first chicane. Warren's right on the gearbox though, so I don't think there's going to be much Heppy can do unless Warren's running low on ERS. I think he's going to be up the inside here. No, he's a bit far back actually. He chooses not to risk it. I think he probably realizes it's lap 7. There's not a whole lot we can do about this at the moment. So let's just work together and try and get after Brooke in 3rd place. As there's a yellow flag at Ascari, but no cars off. That was a little glitch there, but nothing to worry about. As we see, Eisenberg has had an issue in the first Lesmo, I believe. It looks like his front wing is intact, so I think it was just a spin. But he's in 11th place now. I think the tyres might be suffering a little bit. If he's had a big moment and locked up the tyres, that does tend to hurt the tyre wear quite a bit. And it'll mean you may have to box a lap or 2 early. Got a yellow in sector 2, that's an Alpha Tauri of Morty Peretz, who I think has done exactly the same thing that we just saw happen to Eisenberg, but a bit further back. We're going to go to RLK. Oh, Barks is round. I think he might have just overcooked it. Trying to get on the power in between the chicane. The first part and the second part of the chicane there. That's going to drop him at the points. What's that going to do for Alpine-Renault? It's not going to hurt them too much because Red Bull's still on in a position to score points. Emilio's retired from the session and has crashed in an odd place there. I'm not too sure what's happened there. I'm going to have a look. Oh, we've got a side-by-side battle here. They're going into the yellow flag zone, so Dirt Shark can't overtake here. As Emilio's in the wall there. Oh, but Niels ran across the escape road there. I think Dirt Shark didn't want to try anything just because it was near the yellow flag zone. You don't want to risk a penalty for something like that so early on in the race as well. Julius Race and Tibran are going at it. That looked like a lot of straight line speed difference there. Tibran has a very nice, smooth driving style, I've noticed, from the little bits of onboard we've watched. So maybe that will help on the tyre wear, rather than take his tyres a bit longer. He just loads the tyres up ever so progressively and gently. But does still get the car nicely to the apex. Oh, he downshifted a bit too early there and it locked up the differential a tiny bit. Just led to that little oversteer moment. You could just sense what's happening there. You might want to turn down the diff, potentially. Ooh, but he's locked up there. And I think he's going to be outside of DRS now for sure. We're going to go back to RLK on the back of Eisenberg. We're going to see him move down the pit straight here. Now the dirty air did really affect him there. I've got Ghost Pez in the chat. Well, you'll be pleased to know he qualified on pole position and is leading this race by 7.5 seconds already. Our defending champion showing why he deserves that title and why he won it with a round to spare. Might have to give him a run for his money at some point. That would be a bit of fun. As we've got Dirt Shock behind Neil, this could be a move up the pit straight here. The gap's 5/10. He's choosing not to use his ERS, so maybe he thinks the DRS is going to be enough. And to be fair to him, it almost is. Is he going for something around the outside? Just was a bit cautious about trying a move. He didn't really commit to anything there. Quite understandable, given you're on the hard tyres trying to save them. And you've got this big straight here. If he really wanted to, he could have deployed and passed him by now. Maybe he's just hoping for a mistake and just not trying to over push his tyres and his ERS usage. Of course, there is fuel usage, but we don't get information on that. But in the next game, there won't be fuel usage. Fuel modes, I believe, as it's banned in real life, so I have a feeling there won't be any fuel mixes in the game. I think there'll be one mix. Oh, and he clips the Haas and he's in the wall! Oh, this is not looking good for Red Bull now. That was the nail in the coffin. Unless we get some craziness happening now. That bit of front wing. That's pretty much done for the Red Bulls now. And Sabby Jack is in 19th because he's struggling to keep the thing on the road. Clay Racing has retired from the session. What is going on here? I think he has crashed at the exit of Ascari. Now, importantly, I think there is no safety car. Hold on, something's happened here. Simo Pez is only. Simo Pez has lost his front wing. Fred is into P1. What has gone on here? The leader. Oh, Warren's got a penalty for illegal blocking. I've not seen that for a while. It's all kicking off at the moment. I don't know where to look. It's all this craziness is going on. Got Happy looking at the back of Tibran. This could be a move here. Not quite close enough into the braking zone. He's going to have to try something into the second chicane, but I don't think he's got enough. As Eisenberg picks up a penalty now. Not great for Ferrari. And Simo has come out in 10th place. I imagine he's probably not too concerned about this, as he's still got a lot of pace in hand. So this will be more a test of his mental ability, as we don't know whether he's had an accident on his own, and Warren has been through the gravel, I think. But I believe Simo... Oh! Tubran has missed the braking point significantly there. That's going to make it fairly easy for Happy to go up a place. But going back to Simo, it'll be a test of character for him to see how he responds to this. Does he keep a cool head and get on with it? Or does the red mist descend on you if you've had a collision with a back marker who's just done something you think you don't really agree with? Well, we don't know what's happened, so there's no point in me speculating on what's happened, but you can guess how he's going to be feeling based on what we think happened. I have a feeling he might have been caught up maybe with clay racing, as it seemed to all happen quite close after that. But the one thing that's certainly not good for his race is that he's going to catch traffic, which is, well, it could go either way depending on how quickly he manages to pass said traffic. If he gets stuck behind them or even gets damaged trying to pass them, that could really throw a big spanner in the works for his race, as it's obvious he's probably trying to go to the end of the race on these tyres, because there's no safety cars, so I don't think there's going to be any kind of crazy strategy curveballs that you're going to see from the game, as Neil picks up a penalty. Actually, now Julius races up into third place now. We should give a shout out to him. He's chosen to pit for a new set of tyres. I think it's going to be a bit much to take a set of mediums to the end from here. I think soft, medium, soft might be the way to go. And that's Warren dispatched of for Eisenberg. Oh, but he's got a nice exit though. Got a good run through that chicane as Eisenberg was offline trying to make the pass. And he might be using some ERS just to keep alongside. Then he might be able to pull a move to the inside of the chicane here. Yeah, it's going to be close. Yeah, he's gone for it. But they make it stick side by side. But now Eisenberg's going to be up the inside here. Oh, and Warren cuts him off. But Eisenberg's got a better run. But now he's going to get the DRS. So can he get back past immediately? He can. With the DRS, what can Warren do about this? He's got no straight line speed. Through that run up to Ascari, he just got walked all over by Eisenberg. Maybe he's running slightly more downforce. So Simo's definitely catching this group of cars now that they're battling. Fred's still out in P1. Brooks pretty much maintained the gap actually. It's gone up by 0.3 since he made the move. So he's really kept pace with Fred quite nicely. That's certainly going to bring him nicely in contention for some good points and maybe a podium. As you see, the gap's just gone up a bit now as I've said that. We've beautifully commentators cursed him a little bit there. So that car you can see in the background behind Warren, the little red speck, that's Simo. He's catching him quite heavily at the moment. And we see there's a yellow, I think that was Snaggletooth maybe. Believe it was, or Emilio. One of the Williams drivers had a bit of an issue through the Lesmo corners. Now, how close is Simo? He's 0.8. You can make anything from 0.8 back on the straight. Well done, Eisenberg. Forza Ferrari. Yeah, he's doing a good job so far, but it looks like he's going for the pits, is he? No, he's not. Simo's not quite had a great run. I think the combination of the hard tyres and the dirty air is not exactly going too well for him. Oh, Warren's a bit of a lock-up there. They've all had a lock-up into turn one there. Actually, we're going to skip back to Barks, who's up the inside. He's leaving some room. And he's passed Snaggletooth for 10th place. Now we're going to switch back to the Williams driver, see if he can do anything about looking for a repass on Barks. He's not quite close enough. Actually going to look at Simo now. Player Racing has left the session, unfortunately DNF'd after a crash at Ascari, which may or may not have involved Simo, but certainly avoiding the crash caused a bit of chaos for people. And Brooke has decided to go for a set of medium tyres. Be interesting to see where he filters out. Oh, it's going to be close. In fact, he's going to be out ahead of Simo. Well, just, but Simo has the overspeed. Oh, I think he tapped with Brooke there a little bit. I think 2 into 1 just didn't quite go there, but no harm. They lost a little bit of time, but nothing too major. But if Fred hears this or sees this, he's going to be loving life. So he knows he has a 3.5 second advantage over Simo. So if he comes out now, he will come out ahead of Tibran, which will then put 3 cars between him and Simo, which will be music to his ears in terms of this race. And obviously Simo's got a lot of pace, but then Fred will have a good tyre advantage. So those Fred Nolasco fans, you better hope he pits for a set of hard tyres right now. He's gone for the pits. He's gone for a set of mediums, so that's not what we were expecting. But he is going to come out in the lead, I believe. Oh, Barks has crashed at Ascari. I think he's had a similar accident to Clay Racing. Yeah, he's got on the curb, got a swapper, and then it's taking him into the barrier on the left there. So Fred has come out comfortably ahead, actually. The gap's even bigger than I thought it would be. This is going to be interesting now, because he's potentially going to put on a set of soft tyres towards the end of the race. Oh, and Simo and Warren are side by side. We caught that mid-move there. Those two are really going at it. The last person that Simo wanted to see that he had to overtake is probably Warren, as he's not one to give up a place to anybody, no matter whether they're the champion or they're a brand new racer. But there's nothing he can do with the DRS. Simo must be running a solid setup for straight line speed, but Warren came right back at him there. I think he's definitely running a bit more downforce. He seems to be very quick in the corners, but on the straights he's hardly able to make an impact. And I think Warren is just going to breeze past him. This is not what Simo wants, but it's going to spice things up. So I'm enjoying this as a completely neutral person. Ah, they make contact. Warren's still up the inside. Simo makes the apex. That's going to be place. That'll be place done now. As Warren's going to be looking strongly in his mirrors now to Brooke. Can Brooke send one to the inside? He's not close enough, is he? No, he's not. He's just tried to put him off. It didn't work, but it It's given Simo a bit of breathing room to go after Tibran, who's the next car on his radar. And he's 3/10 behind. He might be able to go up the inside here. Oh, late move. But he's up the inside, takes the place. Good move. And he's got a very nice run through Scari, so Tibran's now going to be under pressure from Warren potentially. But this will help Warren in his defence from Brook, as he's going to pick up some DRS. Oh, but that's wide. He just got a big whole heap of understeer. He might not have gone the right way with the roll bar settings. You've got a bit of an odd rotation from the curb there. But nevertheless, it's put him up into 5th place, and he's already passing Tibran. That's how powerful a slipstream and a good exit can be. So now Simo's got Eisenberg 3 seconds ahead, and then pretty much 4 seconds up to Fred. He's got some work to do. It's not going to be an easy race for Simo, which is good, as we thought he was just disappearing off into the sunset up until we saw him with no front wing coming into the pits. So from a neutral point of view, this is great. Now I wonder if is there going to be team orders here? Yes, it looks like there is. That's sensible from the Alfa Romeo crew there. They know that Brook is their best chance of scoring some points. And in terms of the standings, they are looking to consolidate 7th place. Haas is not, depending on where Brook finishes, they may even get Haas for 6th place. The gap is currently 7 points, so these guys need to outscore them by 7 points. So we'll see. And Eisenberg has gone for the pits, so now we're going to see a complete delta between Fred and Simo now. Brooks drained his ERS completely. He's got 3% left. Again, it definitely seems to me that Warren's running a higher downforce setup compared to those around him. In my experience, even running just a preset 4 setup is actually not that bad around here. It tends to give you some solid straight line speed and some good stability. Is he going to make a move into Ascari? Yes, he is. And that's the move done. Oh, Warren's lost it, and that's out of the race. That's gifted an opportunity for Ferrari for the Constructors' title now. Now all of Mercedes' hopes lie on Julius Race. And actually, Eisenberg might be very important in this race, especially as the gap between each position is tricky. It's a lot smaller than in real life with the current F1 point system. Making up a gap of 4 points is actually a lot harder. Now, I'd be interested to know, if anybody knows, out of Ferrari and Mercedes, which team has won more races? As if they finish even, there's going to be some kind of a count back. So it would be good to know where people stand on the count back. In fact, I think we've got a graphic up here of where everybody has finished. It looks to me like Mercedes haven't actually won a race yet, and Ferrari have won quite a lot with Simo. So I think on countback, Ferrari would win if it was to stay even. Now, we're not just getting so hyped about this because it's just some points. There's actually quite a bit at stake here. There is £250 at stake between first and second in the championship. If Simo and Eisenberg do manage to get up to first place in the championship, they will get 500 Great British pounds instead of 250, so they'll be able to split that 250 each. Which will be a very nice boost for them, especially going into the next season, where I'm sure they were aiming to do it again. And we of course have the World Cup, which is on Saturday the 26th of June. So that will be next weekend. Yep, that will be in exactly 7 days' time at 7 p.m. UK time. So it's going to be about 45 minutes earlier. Now we've got a yellow in sector 1. That's an Alfa Tauri. Is that Graham who's had a bit of an issue? No, it's not. It's Morty Peretz, who has retired from the session at the exit of the first... Oh, no, that's not the exit. That's on the main straight, actually. That's a very odd one. I've never seen a car retire there before without a mechanical issue. How strange. But Fred, it's good news for Fred Nolasco. He's pulling on Simo Pez at the moment. Now the hopes of Mercedes rest on Julius Race, who is actually doing a great job for them. And the fact that we've got this new point system is helping Mercedes considerably here. Because they need to outscore Ferrari by 5 points. Ferrari need to outscore them by 4 points. So at the moment, Simo is outscoring Julius Race by 2 points, and Eisenberg is scoring quite a few points there. So yeah, at the moment, now that Eisenberg's moved up a few places as the pit cycle is completing itself, I think that is definitely reaffirmed that Ferrari are in the hot seat at the moment. And especially if Simo were to do something about Fred winning the race, then that would most certainly help out their championship challenge. Simo has a time penalty. The race takes another turn. I think he's pushing very hard to try and keep with Fred. He must know. I think it says exactly what tyres everybody's on the HUD. So if he has the HUD on, then he will know that Fred is on the medium tyres and surely will be pitting again for a set of soft tyres right towards the end of the race, and will chase down Simo to try and pull a move for the lead in the closing laps. And with the pit stop delta's quite a long one. Rather, the difference between pitting and not pitting is quite long, but the pit time is not. As when these guys go past, if you have a look at the steering wheel and the top left of the screen on it, he's doing 180 miles an hour at the pit entry when you're on the racetrack, and they're doing 205 as they filter out onto the pit exit line. So there's definitely a big difference between the speed you can do in the pit lane, which I believe at this track is 49 miles an hour, if I'm not mistaken. We'll find out the next time somebody pits, as Neil picks up a penalty. The penalties are beginning to rack up now, so we are going to have a look out of those. So it's 3 seconds for Simo, 3 for Brooke, 8 for Emilio, 3 for Tibran, 3 for RLK, 6 for Neil, and 9 for Zabi Jacket. It's not brilliant, but the more people that get penalties, the smaller the disadvantage that you'll get if you get one. But at the same time, if you're somebody like Fred Alaska, you know, you don't even have to pass Simo now to get the win. You just need to be within 3 seconds. And he is pulling on Simo. So we just need to see where he's going to filter out and what kind of tyres he's going to filter out on. And what sort of pace he has. There's lots of questions that we need to find out the answers to before we know who's going to win the race. But that is the fun of racing. The gaps are all fairly large at the moment. There's not actually any side-by-side action to bring you. It's turned into more of a strategic race now, as we've had 5 DNFs, 6 DNFs at the moment. As people finding that spinning up the tyres on the exits of corners when on the limit is quite easy to occur. What's my favourite part of Monza to drive? Ooh. I'd have to say it all depends on what car you're driving. If you're in a downforce car, then Ascari is an incredible corner to drive when you've got the car balanced. If you've got a car that likes to just, it can just go through Ascari, and it just stays planted through the chicane, and you could just keep your foot to the floor and just drive with confidence through the corner, then that is incredibly fun to drive. But if you're in something like maybe a GT car, there's quite common GT racing. There's DTM here today, actually, in fact, where we saw Ferrari triumph, albeit with the Red Bull livery of Liam Lawson. And Alex Albon from F1 was up into 4th in that race, so the Ferrari GT3 was doing quite well. Got a yellow in Sector 1, that's a McLaren, that is Heppy, who has come a cropper, but not got any damage. But actually I like the chicanes in a GT car, when you could just spot the braking, because the GT cars are much better at taking the curbs. They tend to run a bit more ride height and the suspension's a bit more forgiving, shall we say, compared to an F1 car. So those are very good to ride over the curbs, and when you nail something like the first corner, you get the curb usage spot on. That is very satisfying and fun to do. What is the fastest lap of the race? Let's have a look. I'm almost certain it's by Simo. I'm pretty sure it's a 23.2 at the moment. It's going to be between Simo and Simo and Fred, who has actually got a good turn of pace at the moment. Yeah, I believe that Simo currently holds the fastest lap of the race with a 23.2 to answer your question. And I think that isn't going to stand if Fred pits for soft tyres towards the end of the race. If you're interested, the fastest lap in qualifying, if you missed it, was an 18.4 from Simo. But it seems his qualifying pace is not quite translated into the 7 to 8 tenths a lap it was. Graham is inside the DRS of Neil, so we're going to go give that a watch. Race sound gone with that last graphic, but back now. That's an odd one. I don't know. That's an odd one. I'm glad it's back now. That's good. So Fred has gapped Simo now. That's a yellow in the Lesmo one. That was Dirt Shark or Zabby Jacket. I think it might have been Zabby getting out of the way of Dirt Shark there. Actually, Tibran is getting back to Emilio, so we're going to have a watch of that. Now, can we just get a bit of a check? I'm going to try and see if we can get our graphics working. We're going to try it. Hopefully, you should still be able to hear the game sounds. Oh, as Neil retires from the session, he has dropped it on the exit of Ascari as Tibran goes to the inside. Hopefully the game sound is still working with that little graphic we've got up now. So that's not good for Haas. It's a double DNF. Fred Nolasco has just set the fastest lap of the race. It was a 22 point something. I didn't quite catch exactly what it was. But he's gapping Simo ever so slightly now. Oh, sound is good. Nice. So we managed to get that one all fixed. So we can look through some of our drivers. These were done for the last race. I don't think Emilio... I'm not sure if Emilio scored points or not. I will actually have a check on that right now. Emilio did score in the last race, so that's not quite correct. He's actually in 18th now in the championship. Older brother of Emilio underscore, yeah, that explains, well, that's a tricky one if they've got the same name and they're brothers. Right, here we go to start lap 31. Emilio's just losing touch a bit now, so maybe that move had happened before we had switched to them. As we now ride with Snaggletooth, who may have also been passed by RLK now. We will see. Gaps come down by a few tenths as Fred encountered traffic, maybe. No, maybe Simo has picked up the DRS or the slipstream from Graham while lapping him. That's when I gumbled him. Yeah, he's probably getting a little bit of a tow. She'll just be boosting him along a bit. So for the championship, this is looking great for Ferrari at the moment. They look like they're in prime position to take home the points. As Graham's getting out of the way on this straight, I believe. It certainly slowed Simo up though. He was making progress, but that has been slowed now, unfortunately. Didn't seem to lose him a whole heap of time though. Just wonder if Fred has encountered a bit of a scruffy lap. Because the gap is coming down quite a bit. Neil has now unfortunately left the session after that crash. Down to 13 cars remaining now. Zabby's picked up another time penalty, unfortunately. So I'm curious where this turn of pace from Simo has come from. Now, is this to do with what Fred's pace is looking like? Let's have a look. Yeah, he's gone for a quick lap and then had a couple of scruffy laps, or maybe the tyres are just wearing down now a bit. And Simo's back to the high 23s now. So this race is by no means over. Some cars did manage 20 laps on their soft tyres. So I just wonder if Fred's going to be beginning to put the hammer down. He is on 82% ERS and Simo is on 30. So I just wonder if he's saving a bit of fuel, but actually Simo's just going very quickly now. We are down to a 22.9. So I think he's been burning a bit of that ERS and maybe a bit of that fuel. Maybe Fred's having to save fuel a little bit. We can speculate, but we're gonna find out what's going on with Fred fairly soon. Brooke has slowly dropped off the back of these guys now in this stint. He's just not quite had the pace of these two as they've begun to stretch their legs. As we've got a yellow, that is a Red Bull, and that's Zabi Jaka on the exit of the second chicane. Oh, it's held up Julius Race a bit there. But he's managed to let him go now. Yeah, I think Simo may have burnt up a fair bit on that to get that fastest lap. Because he's dropped back considerably now since setting that lap. So maybe he just used up a bit too much. Or Fred has decided, no, I want my fastest lap back. But no, I think Simo's just had a bit of a rough lap. Maybe used a bit of lean mix to regen some fuel. That's a 25.5. And may have been a mistake in that lap. There's a yellow, that's a Williams of Snaggletooth, I think it was. Emilio has been passed by RLK, I think. So I'm going to have a look at Simo. Gap's just beginning to stretch a little bit. I just wonder if Simo may have picked up a second warning. Because if he's picked up a second warning after his first time penalty, then he'll be looking at one more warning as another 3-second time penalty. And then Fred only has to finish 6 seconds behind him. And on new tyres, that'll be comfortable, probably. And to be fair, I think 3 seconds might be comfortable, depending on what kind of pace Simo has at the end of the race and what sort of tyres he's got left. Ooh, but we've got Dirt Shark in hot pursuit of these two in front. How's the exit? Eisenberg's got a penalty. But that's not actually going to make any difference as Heffy's 10 seconds behind him at the moment. He doesn't want to make the move just yet. Just fancies the DRS maybe. Dirt Shark's definitely struggling a lot more here than Zandvoort. He really did have the car hooked up very nicely. I think Monza is a very tricky track to get exactly right, and to be fair, he did have a torrid first quarter of the race. So at the same time, he might still have a lot of pace, but just those two incidents, getting caught up in the first corner, first lap, and then getting caught up in a little bit of contact at Ascari. I just wonder if that's going to result in a penalty for anybody, given it did give him damage. So we'll find out after the race. Hopefully there aren't penalties to apply after the races in an ideal world. The on-track result is the result that is the final result, and also it would be ideal if there was no contact between any cars from a clean and fair racing point of view. At the same time, contact and crashes creates drama, which is also good for the viewers. So If we get penalties or contact and crashes, at least somebody's happy. But I think we'd all prefer it if there was clean racing and the crashes only happened from mistakes, rather than another driver hitting somebody into a wall or something. So the gap's up to 11.6 now. I just wonder if Simo's tyres are beginning to fade a little bit as well as Fred's now. It's side by side to the final corner. I just wonder if RLK is going to get passed immediately here. Brown is so close to the back, it's straight up the inside. Simple as you like. Makes the apex nicely. And away Brown goes for now. And I think RLK might have a chance if he follows in the slipstream. Make a move. No, he chooses to back out of it. Doesn't want to risk anything. Fairly sensible. Now, we're going to ride with Fred because there are 3 lapped cars in front of him. And Simo is in clear air. Oh, Zabi's got another penalty, unfortunately. I just wonder if Fred's going to catch them and then go for a new set of tyres. In fact, Julius Race is a good delta here, and so is Dirt Shark. As they're both out, they've both been out for, in Julius's case, 4 laps, and in Dirt Shark's case, 6 laps longer on the same set of tyres as Fred. So you might be able to use them as a reference if he has maybe a spotter or an engineer just watching out for the stream or something. He might know what tyres everybody's on and what they're running on. But Simo has gone down to a 22.6. It's taken a lot of ERS to do that though. Now is Fred going to be able to clear these cars, or is he going to die for the pits first? Is he going to die for the pits at all? Well, Julius Race has decided to die for the pits. Down at 50 miles an hour, he's going for a set of soft tyres to the end. I think that's the right call. You want to come in early-ish for the soft tyres. I think now is the optimum time to pit, as you don't want to pit too late because then you won't get the advantage of the new tyres. And this is going to put him out in 6th place, so hopefully now he's maybe looking to undercut some drivers if he can. But I don't think there's really too big of a gap for him to undercut anybody. But I think somebody might risk it and try and stay out. I think Heppy knows the game's up with that one and just decided not to go for it. I believe he could probably stretch it to the end. In fact, he's got a big enough gap to the car behind that he can pit anyway and take a set of soft tyres now. Oh, Julius gets a penalty. If you're somebody like Heppy, I would just box right towards the end for a set of soft tyres and try and pick up fastest lap of the race. Now the gap's really come down now. I think Fred's definitely been held up by those lapped cars, intentional or not. You always do get held up ever so slightly, unless they literally jump out of the way for you. You will inevitably lose time, but not an unfair amount of time. As to put it lightly, everybody has the same issue with back markers. Everybody if you're in a direct race with somebody, they're also going to have to lap them if you do. Unless they hit in between when one of you passes and the other passes. But either way, that's Simo's got a dispatch of Emilio. And I think he's not going to have the DRS, so he wasn't quite there in the activation zone. So is it going to be a bit of ERS and a good exit out of here? I think it might be Emilio's let off quite early to let him go. Yeah. Quite simple from there, really. I'm going to watch Dirt Shark on RLK now. As this is Fred right behind us. So he's going to have to pass these two if he wants to press on with the race. Well, he's going to have to lap them. That's going to be a bit of a shame for Dirt Shark, given he was in a direct fight on pace with Fred in the last race, and now Fred is going to lap him. That is going to be a bit of a kick in the teeth for him, unfortunately. But sometimes that's the way that racing goes. And in the Drivers' Championship, Warren isn't scoring, and he's the only person that can take third place away from Dirt Shark, so actually his bad race is not really going to affect anything. I think he's been clever there in just getting out of the way ever so slightly for Fred. And Simo is not making a whole heap of progress on that last lap. It really does seem to be an up and down with Simo at the moment. It's kind of push for a lap or two, then back off, charge the battery, then push again. As expected, Julius Race now holds the fastest lap with a 22.5. We're getting closer and closer to a very fastest lap now. I think maybe we're starting to wonder if Fred will go for the pits. As Dirt Shark's still going on his tyres quite happily. Checking with Brooke up in third place at the moment. He's held the gap nicely to Simo since dropping back to 8 seconds, so maybe that was a mistake or he got held up by a lapped car, but he's held pace quite nicely. Eisenberg's had a quiet few laps now, apart from getting the time penalty. And he's got a fair gap to Julius Race. He's gapped Heppy quite nicely since coming out of the pits. And Shark going around on his 30 lap old medium tyres. Doesn't seem to be showing any signs of going to the pits. You can tell the understeer he's experiencing. I mean, you can visibly see how much the car just doesn't want to turn. And we've got the engine glitch, so we're just going to move away from that pretty quickly. The gap is it's stabilised at about 10.6 as it has done for most of the stint now. As Zabi gets out of the way very easily, and Fred is on his way onto the main straight now. I reckon he might be able to make it actually. He's going to do 9 more laps, which would take him to 34 laps. So if Dirt Shark can survive the next 3 or 4 laps on his tyres, then I'm assuming Fred can as well. Obviously that's factoring in that Fred and Dirt Shark have used their tyres the same amount. But actually, if Fred needed to, he could just back off a bit and try and conserve the tyres. as he has such a big gap, it's quite likely he would just back off and conserve the tyres. The only risk to this now is penalties and puncture territory. We call that we call it puncture territory, as it's the tyre wear percentage at which you're able to get a puncture from tyre wear. So anything from 70% to 100% wear in the game will result in a puncture, and that is a 22.2. So much for conserving the tyres, Fred. That's a fastest lap of the race. And Heppy did do what I think he was going to and pick up a set of soft tyres and go for a fastest lap of the race towards the end. He's going to get a few stabs at it, as we are on lap 45 of 53. Now that we're towards the end of the race, we're going to have a look at... So the highest two-stop runner is Julius Race. I don't know, one stop was the way to go. But I think Eisenberg is the big winner from all of that. And we've got a yellow flag, but I don't see a car going slowly. Oh, Brooks picked up a time penalty. Not quite what he would have wanted, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. Can he get fastest lap? Heppy. I think he will. I think on a set of new tyres. It'll have to be a good lap. He might need a 21 to hold on to it if the others do begin to really go for it towards the end. As I think something's happened to Simo. I think it was him who had the moment, as the gap's just gone up by a few seconds now. So I think impressive races, definitely from Fred, to get up to P1. I wouldn't say disappointing from Simo, as we don't know what happened in the incident, which threw off his strategy, but he hasn't quite had that electric pace advantage that we saw in qualifying compared to the race. And it doesn't matter in this race because it's the final race and he's already the champion. But I think that's maybe something he could look to improve on in the off season, maybe, in case a new challenger presents themselves for the next season. I'd say that is his weakness that I've noticed, but he does still have a huge amount of pace, so it's not like it's going to be easy for anybody else to take the challenge to our current champion in the World Cup. I'll give you all more details on that event at the end of the race after we've... Hey, there we go. There's fastest lap for Heppy, a 21.6. So David in the chat, he has got fastest lap for you. I think Brooks driven a solid job. I think we'll have to have a look at that turn one to see what really happened there. If he got a tap or if he locked a brake. There might be an investigation into that, I think. But I don't think a penalty that would alter his position would be given. As, well, I mean, he'd have to be given a 15-second time penalty for it to affect his position, and the car it mainly affected was Fred, who's now winning the race, so we'll see. I think good performance from Eisenberg, starting from 19th on the grid, and is up to 4th. It's been a solid job from the Ferrari man. Solid job from Julius Race. It's not going to be enough to save Mercedes in their constructors' battle with Ferrari, but it will be enough to give him a solid result. Not enough for him to beat Warren, but definitely enough to keep him up there in 5th place. Heppy is currently 13th in the championship, so he's definitely going to be looking to pass Graham and Barks and Neil, but not Brooke. And he'll probably pass Zabi, not Eisenberg does. Who's going to gain us? So he might get in the top 10 in the championship with that performance. Not actually sure if he's driven in many of the races. Yes, he has. That's my mistake. He has. It's the other McLaren seat that's new. And we've got Dirt Shark, who's not really under any kind of threat with Warren not scoring. Now the gap out front's coming down now, so Simo's definitely back on it again, maybe. I think, yeah, Fred's just stayed the gap with Dirt Shark. He's kept it beautifully to Fred on those old tyres. So he definitely did have the pace to be right up there, which would be a good positive for him to take after what can only be described as an unlucky race, I think, where just things didn't go his way. But he definitely showed that he's got the pace, and I'm sure he knows that, given he is third in the championship. So there'll be some positives going into the World Cup. Snaggletooth picks up a penalty. So RLK, not quite the result Aston Martin wanted, but Alpha Tauri aren't scoring particularly well, so I think he will, in fact they're not scoring at all, so those 3 points will actually be enough to draw them level, which would be an interesting one. See on count back who has the better results. I'm going to try and figure this one out myself. So the highest point somebody has got from AlphaTauri is 7, and the highest point somebody from Aston Martin's best result is 7 points, and AlphaTauri's best result is 4 points. So I think on count back, Aston Martin would get that place in the Constructors. But I don't think that actually equates to any prize money, because prize money is only given out to the top 5 Constructors. So it's 5th place that everybody really wants to be in. And McLaren are solid. They're not going to be outscored by anyone. They've got a huge advantage, and I've had a look at it. So it's definitely going to be Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, Alpine-Renault and McLaren that are going to be scoring the points that will give them the prize money in the Constructors' Championship. And we're pretty certain we know the order, barring any last-minute surprises. I think Dirt Shark is still on his tyres. He is. So the tyres are lasting enough at the moment. It really would throw a spanner in the works if somebody got a puncture though. That is the one thing that Fred has to worry about now. He's not going to be the champion, but it looks like he is going to finish the season on a high. A season which has seen those two and Dirt Shark take the top 3 spots, as we had a great battle between them in Zandvoort. And I believe Zabi Jaka has had a bit of an issue at the exit of the second Lesmo, unfortunately. I think he might have just had a bit too much optimism in terms of speed he could carry, and maybe just understeered wide into the gravel trap. Emilio, after not scoring all season, looks like he's going to pick up a double point scoring the last 2 rounds. So that will definitely be a nice little confidence boost for him to be able to pick up a good couple of races towards the end. And who else is going to be benefiting quite nicely from this? I'm going to have a look where RLK is, because I'm not actually sure if RLK is driven before or is new to the series. I'm not seeing them on the graphics at the end of the last race, so I believe it might be a debut drive. So that's good to see for Aston Martin, getting some solid points. Clay Racing has joined to see the end of the race, I think. Unfortunately DNF'd at the Scari, a mistake which many have made today. And we see, I think Fred's, Tipran's been slapped with a 5-second penalty for ignoring blue flags. That's a slam dunk penalty. If you get a blue flag, you need to get out the way. As frustrating as it is to give up time just to let somebody go by instead of waiting for them to make the move, it's the way the rules are. If you race in something like iRacing or Assetto Corsa Competizione, it gives you as long as you want to move out of the way. The in-game stewards of the server will choose what to do about that. Zabijaka picks up another penalty. I think Fred's in cruise mode as he starts the last lap now. I'm going for a bit of a scenic shots of the final lap of the season. A season which I'm sure has contained many elements of drama, good racing and battles, and controversy. I have only been able to see 2 of those 10 races. But what we have seen is some solid performances from Fred and Simo up front, and Dirt Shark there and Zandvoort, who got unlucky today. And this would be nice for Fred to round out the championship with the win. He did manage to hold on to the tyres. They didn't decide to give up on him. And the final question that remains is, will Heppy keep his fastest lap? It's been a dominant performance from Fred Nolasco as he storms to the final win of the season to round out the championship with a win. Our champion Simo will round out with a P2. Probably not the result he wanted, starting on pole position, but he does end as the champion. And I think Heppy will keep his fastest lap unless Zabijaka goes through it, but I think he's actually lost it in the out of the second Lesmo. Brooke will come home for the final podium spot, depending on penalties. We will see. As Eisenberg, no, it is going to be third for Brooke, as quite a lot of people have all come across the line now. Heppy is going to keep fastest lap though, unless Sabi can steal it off him. Dirt Shark finished 7th. RLK got the points nicely for Aston Martin, but Graham finished in P9. So it does mean that AlphaTauri keep the place over Aston Martin. Simo Pez and Ferrari are the champions. Yes, they are. It was a good race from Fred. And Max makes a very good point in the chat. Thank you to our host / admin, Barks, for putting on the show, for setting it all up. And this is by no means the last race that you will see from this league. I hope we will have the World Cup very shortly. But for now, let's admire the drives of our top three. It is Fred who takes home the win as they spray champagne for one more time in season 1 of 2021. And there we have it. There's the results. Heppy did get the fastest lap. Not many people survived without a penalty. In fact, only 3 survived the race without a penalty. But it's Fred from Simo, from Brook, from Eisenberg, Julius Race, Heppy, Dirt Shark, RLK, Graham, and Tibran are the point scorers. Snaggletooth, Emilio, and Zabijaka were the rest of the finishers. Neil, Motiperetz, Warren, Barks, Bullet Eater, Clay, and the other Emilio _ yeah. Were the final retirees in the race, unfortunately. So, what a race! That is the end of season 1 now. However, it is not the end of the action that you are going to see from this league. We are putting on a rather unique tournament in a week's time, which I have alluded to quite a few times through the stream, called the F1 2021 World Cup. It is the Americas versus England versus Italy versus the rest of Europe. It will be next weekend at 7 p.m. UK time, so it's going to be about 45 minutes earlier than usual. It's going to be 4 versus 4 team racing. Whichever team scores the most points will get the win, I believe. They're going to be 25% races, and we anticipate a new race every half an hour, and then the grand final will be at 10 p.m. UK time, with the top 2 teams, so the teams with the most points, and we will see the number 1 seed, so I'm assuming the people with the most points will be at home, so they'll be at their home track. So if it's Italy, we're going to be at Monza again. If it's England, we'll be around sunny Silverstone. And if it's the rest of Europe, they will be able to take their pick from the European tracks. And if it's Americas, they'll be able to take their pick. So we will see what those guys choose to do. And more information about that will come out for the World Cup. And we hope to see you in a week's time. I'm just scanning through this. The home tracks is the home team's designated track. England is Silverstone, Italy is Monza, Americas is Brazil or Cota, and the captain of that team will choose which track they go to. I'm assuming they'll consult their team, take whichever one they all like the most and think they have the best shot at, and the European rest of Europe squad will be able to pick a track that is not Monza or Silverstone but is in Europe. So we're looking Barcelona, Zandvoort. And if it was the next game, we'd be looking at the Circuit de Algarve or potentially Imola. But alas, we are still on the 2020 game for one last time for the World Cup, I believe, as I think the new game releases on the 13th of July if you've pre-ordered it with the Premium Edition, or the 16th of July if you've bought the normal edition. We're not going to fit a season of racing in before then. Maybe we'll have some kind of a pre-season fun event, maybe just a couple of social races to keep the streams going, to keep everybody entertained, and to keep the drivers sharp. So I hope to see you all in a week's time for that World Cup event. It will be at 7 p.m. UK time, which is GMT +1. I have been Lewis Edwards. I hope you have enjoyed this race, and I hope you tune in to the next one in a week's time. I will see all of you next week. I hope you have a happy and safe rest of the weekend and next week. I will see you all in a week's time on here and on YouTube. And until then, bye for now.